You've been lied to your whole life about debt. Since you were a child, you were told, debt is bad, debt is dangerous. Debt will ruin your life, and for most people that's completely true, but here's what nobody told you. The richest people in the world, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett. They all use debt, massively, on purpose. While you were busy avoiding debt, they were using it as a weapon, and that one difference is a big reason why the wealth gap keeps growing. This is not a video about taking out loans. This is a video about understanding a game that's been played around you your whole life, without anyone explaining the rules. Let's fix that. First, let's understand something important. Not all debt is the same. There are two types of debt in this world. Type 1, destructive debt. This is the debt most people carry. Credit card bills, car loans for cars they can't afford. Buy now, pay later schemes, payday loans. This debt takes money out of your pocket every month. It charges you interest. It makes you poorer slowly, quietly, consistently. And the banks, they love it because every month you carry that balance, you're paying them to stay poor. Type 2, productive debt. This is the debt the wealthy use, and it works in the exact opposite direction. Instead of taking money out of your pocket, it puts money in. How? Simple. You borrow money at a low interest rate and use it to buy something that grows faster than the interest. You're paying the difference between those two numbers. That's your profit. The rich call this leverage. The poor call it terrifying. And that fear is exactly what keeps the gap growing. Let me show you a real example. In 2022, Elon Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion. Did he pay cash? No. He borrowed billions from banks, used his Tesla stock as collateral, and structured the deal so that the debt was on Twitter itself, not on him personally. Now here's the part most people miss. Elon Musk, one of the richest men on earth, pays almost zero income tax most years. How? Because he doesn't take a salary, he doesn't sell his stock. Instead, he borrows against it. His Tesla shares go up in value. He goes to the bank. The bank sees his shares as collateral, and the bank gives him a loan at 1, 2, maybe 3% interest. That loan is not income, so it's not taxed. He lives on borrowed money. His assets keep growing, and the tax bill stays near zero. This strategy even has a name. It's called buy, borrow. Buy assets, borrow against them to fund your lifestyle. And when you die, your heirs inherit the assets at a stepped-up value, minimizing taxes even further. Legal, completely fair, that's a different conversation. But the point is, this is happening right now, every day, and most people have no idea. Now let's talk about something closer to everyday life. Real estate. Here's how most people think about buying a house. Save up. Put down a big down payment. Pay off the mortgage as fast as possible. Own the house. Be free, that's the safe plan. And for most families, it works just fine. But here's how real estate investors think about debt. Imagine you have $100,000. Option A, you buy a $100,000 property. Cash, no debt. The property grows 10% in a year. You made $10,000. Return on investment 10%. Option B, you use that same $100,000 as a down payment. You borrow $400,000 from the bank. Now you own a $500,000 property. It grows 10% in a year. You made $50,000. Return on your $100,000 invested 50%. Same money, same market, 5 times the return. This is what leverage does. And the rent from the tenants, it covers the mortgage payment. So someone else is paying off your debt. The rich figured this out decades ago. They don't buy one house, they buy 10, each one financed with debt, each one growing in value, each one paid for by someone else. While the average person is proud of paying off their one mortgage, the investor just bought their 5th property using the equity from the first. Debt used as a tool, not a trap. Now let's zoom out, because this isn't just about individuals. The biggest companies in the world are built on strategic debt. Apple, one of the most profitable companies in history, has over $100 billion in debt. Why would Apple borrow money? Apple has more cash than most countries. Simple. Interest rates on their bonds are low. But their stock buybacks and dividends return far more to shareholders. So instead of using their own cash, they borrow cheap money and use their own cash for higher return activities. This makes their stock go up, which makes their executives richer, which is paid for by cheap debt. Amazon did the same thing for years, borrowed billions, reinvested everything, showed almost no profit on paper, paid almost no taxes, and became one of the most valuable companies on earth. This is not an accident. This is strategy. Meanwhile, a small business owner borrows $50,000 to keep their shop running during a slow month and pays 18% interest on a business credit card. Same concept, debt, completely different terms. That gap in terms. That is the real wealth gap. So why doesn't anyone teach this in school? Here's a question worth asking. Who benefits when you're afraid of debt? Banks when you avoid productive debt. You never build wealth fast enough to stop needing them. Credit card companies when you confuse all debt as bad. You feel guilty for carrying a balance, instead of angry that you're paying 24% interest on everyday purchases. The system, when working people stay focused on paying bills instead of building assets. Economic power stays concentrated at the top. Now, I'm not saying the system is a conspiracy. Most of it is just how things evolved, but the result is the same, the people who understand debt use it to build wealth. The people who fear debt stay exactly where they are. And fear, once planted, is very hard to remove. You see someone go bankrupt from debt, and your brain files it under. Debt equals danger, but you never see the quiet millionaire who borrowed to buy rental properties and retired at 45. Because that story isn't dramatic. It doesn't make the news. It just works. Now, the part that actually matters. What can a regular person do with this information? Step 1. Kill your destructive debt first. Credit cards, payday loans. High-interest personal loans. These are the traps. Get out as fast as possible, because you cannot play the wealth game while bleeding money every month. Step 2. Start thinking about assets, not expenses. Every time you borrow money, ask one question: does this make me money? Or cost me money? A loan for a car that gets you to work may be necessary. A loan to buy a rental property that pays rent, productive. A loan for a luxury vacation you can't afford. Destructive, the question is not, should I have debt? The question is, what does this debt produce? Step 3, understand leverage before you use it. Leverage amplifies everything. If your investment goes up, leverage makes you richer. Faster, if your investment goes down, leverage can wipe you out. The rich use leverage carefully. They have safety nets. They have accountants and advisors. Don't use debt recklessly just because rich people use it carefully. Intentionally. With a plan. Step 4, keep learning. This video is a starting point, not a finish line. Read about real estate investing. Learn how businesses use debt. Understand the difference between good interest and bad interest, because the single most valuable thing you can own in this economy is not a house or a stock or a business. It's financial literacy. It cannot be taxed, it cannot be repossessed, and nobody can take it from you. But the strategy is only half the story. Before we go deeper, let's talk about something nobody discusses. Why does debt feel so shameful? In most cultures around the world, owing money is seen as a personal failure, a sign of weakness, a sign that you couldn't manage your life. And that feeling, that shame, is one of the most powerful forces keeping ordinary people from building wealth. Here's something interesting. In a 2023 study by the American Psychological Association, over 72% of Americans said money was their number one source of stress, and the number one money stressor. Debt. But here's the irony. The people with the most debt in America are often the wealthiest. Corporations, real estate developers, hedge funds. Their balance sheets are full of liabilities, but their assets are growing faster. The difference is not the debt. The difference is the relationship with debt. Poor people feel debt as a weight. Wealthy people treat debt as a lever. Same word, completely different mindset. And mindset, as boring as that sounds, is where financial transformation actually begins. Because if you believe debt will always hurt you, you will never pick up the tool that could change your life. Now let's talk about the most common debt young people carry today: student loans. In the United States alone, over $1.7 trillion in student loan debt is sitting on the shoulders of 45 million people. Most of them borrowed to follow the advice they were given since childhood. Go to college, get a degree, get a good job, pay it back. Simple plan, except it stopped working. Here's why. Tuition costs have risen over 180% in the last 30 years. Wages for entry-level jobs up about 20%. The math no longer adds up. A 22-year-old graduates with $50,000 in debt takes a job paying $40,000 a year, and spends the next decade just trying to get back to zero. Not building wealth, not investing, not buying assets, just getting back to zero. Meanwhile, a wealthy family pays cash for their child's education, or uses investment returns to cover tuition, and that child graduates with no debt and starts building from day one. By age 35, one person is just finishing paying off their loans. The other has been investing for 13 years. That gap, created at age 22, follows people for the rest of their lives. This is not about working harder. This is about the starting line, and not everyone starts at the same place. Let's talk about banks. Most people think banks are just safe places to store their money. They're not. Banks are businesses, and their product is debt. Here's how the model works. You deposit $10,000 in a savings account. The bank pays you maybe 0.5% interest. That's $50 a year. The bank takes your $10,000, lends it to someone else at 7, 8, maybe 20%. The difference between what they pay you and what they charge the borrower. That's the bank's profit. You are the product. Your savings are the raw material, and the borrower on the other end. They're the customer. Now here's where it gets interesting. Banks don't just lend your money. Through something called fractional reserve banking, a bank can lend out up to 10 times what it actually holds in deposits. You deposit $10,000. The bank can lend $90,000 based on your money they created essentially out of thin air, backed by debt. The entire modern financial system is built on debt, not gold, not savings. Debt. When you understand this, the world starts to look very different. Debt isn't the exception to the financial system. Debt is the financial system. Here is one of the most powerful and least talked about advantages of using debt strategically. Inflation. Most people hate inflation, and honestly, for savers, they're right too. If you have $100,000 sitting in cash and inflation runs at 5% per year, your money is losing $5,000 in purchasing power every single year, just sitting there, getting smaller without moving. But for borrowers with fixed-rate debt, inflation is a gift. Here's why. Let's say you borrow $200,000 to buy a rental property in 2024. Your fixed mortgage payment is $1,200 a month. Fast forward 10 years. Inflation has happened. Everything costs more. Rents in your area have gone up. Your property is worth more, but your mortgage payment still $1,200. You're paying back that loan with dollars that are worth less than the dollars you borrowed. In other words, inflation is slowly erasing your debt for you. The wealthy have known this for generations. That's why they borrow to buy real assets during periods of inflation, not because they need the money, but because inflation makes fixed debt cheaper and cheaper every year. While cash loses value, debt on a growing asset quietly works in your favor. Nobody teaches this in school, and that silence is very expensive for the people who don't know. Let's zoom out even further. One of the most uncomfortable truths about wealth in America and around the world is that most of it is inherited, according to a study by the Federal Reserve. Over 50% of wealth in the United States was inherited or received as a gift. Half, not built from scratch, not created by hard work alone, transferred from one generation to the next, and debt plays a central role in how this happens. Here's the strategy that wealthy families use across generations. Generation 1 builds assets using debt, real estate, businesses, investments. Generation 2 inherits those assets at what's called a stepped-up cost basis, meaning the tax on gains built over a lifetime disappears. Generation 3 inherits even more and borrows against those assets to build even further. Each generation starts further ahead. Each generation uses debt more confidently. Each generation passes on both the wealth and knowledge. Now compare that to a family with no assets to pass on. Each generation starts from zero. Each generation learns about debt only through bad experiences. Each generation spends its most productive years just trying to survive, not build. This is not a moral failure. This is a structural reality. The game was designed for people who already had chips on the table. But knowing the rules of the game is the first step to changing how you play it. Now, here's the good news. The rules of the wealth game are slowly changing, and for the first time in history, ordinary people have access to tools that were once only available to the wealthy. Index funds, once only for institutions, are now available to anyone with $1 and a smartphone. Real estate Crowdfunding platforms let regular people invest in properties with as little as $100. Business loans for small entrepreneurs are more accessible than ever before. Information, the most valuable asset of all, is now free. Podcasts, books, videos like this one. The knowledge gap is closing, but here's the warning that comes with all of this. Access without education is dangerous. A person who understands leverage can use these tools to build wealth. A person who doesn't understand leverage can use the same tools to destroy everything they have. The difference, once again, is not money. It's knowledge. We are living in the most financially complex time in human history. Interest rates are shifting, inflation rising and falling, new asset classes emerging every year. The people who will win are not necessarily the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who understand how the system works and position themselves accordingly. That's what this video has been about. Not shortcuts, not get-rich-quick schemes, just the truth about how money actually moves in the real world. So let's come back to where we started. Debt is not good or bad. It's a tool. A hammer can build a house or break a window. The hammer doesn't decide. The person holding it does. The wealthy were handed this tool early. They were taught how to use it. They passed the knowledge to their children, and the cycle continued. But cycles can be broken. You now know something that most people will never learn in school. That debt, used correctly, is not the enemy of wealth. That inflation can work for you, not against you. That the gap between rich and poor is not just about income, it's about information. And now you have that information. The question is not whether you'll use debt in your life. You probably already do. The question is, will you use it on your terms or on theirs? That choice is yours. If this video changed the way you think about money, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more content that explains what the financial world doesn't want you to know. And drop a comment. Are you afraid of debt? Or do you use it as a tool?